Howdy, Smyth Performance Jeep Grand Cherokee Ute builders. That's probably our audience watching here. This is really a supplemental video to Mark's video of what parts are and where they go. Ideally, I would have made this video before I got this far on the car. It would have been a little bit easier, so bear with me that a lot of them are installed already and I've already done some coding, so it makes it kind of hard to see what piece looks like what, but I'm going to do the best I can. I ended up on the phone with Mark a couple of times asking him, I'm looking at this piece, I'm looking at the description, and I just couldn't figure out how it was supposed to go together. And then after talking to Mark, oh, it goes like this and that, or you make this little mod. So this is really a supplemental to his videos. I highly recommend you watch the Smyth Performance video on what parts are and where they go, and he has a couple of supplementals on the B-pillar, brace, inner and outer, and a couple other things. So scour through those, watch the Jeep stuff. But there was a couple that I still didn't get. So this is my attempt to share what I've learned. So ideally, this would have been shot before I did the black Raptor liner in here, just because it makes it hard to see. But I've outlined some things in red. And so I'm gonna take the camera off the stand here and we'll get kind of point of view look. And I'm gonna go through a couple of these strange things. Actually, I take that back. Let's go look at the B-pillar first, and then we'll do the walk around with the camera in mind. So here's the B-pillar brace, outer and inner, mocked up of how it's supposed to go. No big deal, but there is one little change to how it comes. So when this part gets shipped to you in the kit, this is whole. So Mark has a supplemental video of the dimensions to cut out this little corner to give you clearance. Has to do with, I don't know what it has to do with, the way his cutter cuts, and they missed a bend in the changes that he's made to the kit as he was getting it out. So the kits may start coming already modified to fit but he's already shipped 15 or 20 kits. So there's a few out there that are gonna need this modification. So Mark suggests you just cut that square out. I always like to overbuild stuff. So I cut it and bent that piece at a 90. So now when you put this in, right, that sits down, you're going to bolt and rivet through here, the tab underneath into that forward bed wall, and with that tab that I bent up that's facing forward, you can go into the top of the sidewall. So now that is really gonna be braced, and that thing isn't gonna go anywhere once you get this all in. So how the outer fits can be a little confusing. So let me just show you how it goes in. That's what it looks like. You've probably seen it in Mark's video. So this tab here is gonna go up into the roof line, right? And it's got the bends in it, and it has the extra little tab up here, right? So this edge is gonna go on the inside of the B-pillar flange. This piece here is gonna stick into this opening here, and this will fit on the outside of this bed wall. So to put it in, you just kind of lean it forward and tilt that top end out to slide that in, and that's how it's gonna fit. So then we're gonna rivet and bolt, rivet and bolt, rivet and bolt around that periphia, a couple of bolts through here, and then we'll put that inner brace in with the modification I just talked about. Same bit. Let's get the headliner out of the way. Rivet and bolt, rivet and bolt, rivet and bolt with the small bolts, the 1032s, I believe, with the kit. And then a couple into that forward bed wall. The higher that you keep them, the more they'll be hidden by that top lip. So that will be kind of nice to keep them hidden so you don't see them from behind. So that's how that, that's how that B-pillar goes together. Now, an extra that I'm gonna add that's not included in the kit, which that crash behind me just reminded me of, The fiberglass, the rear quarter panel, is going to fit here. You trim it to come around this, and then it'll bolt into where the rear door normally bolts. So I'm going to add one little piece just to brace this corner for only, it's really only the fiberglass. It has nothing to do with the strength of the vehicle. It's just to brace that fiberglass a little bit. I'm going to mock up that fiberglass and mark out where it comes here, and then go a thickness of the fiberglass, which should be close to 1/8 of an inch, down, and add a piece of angle iron. So this is just aluminum angle that you can get online or Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace, wherever you get. This happens to be 1.5 by 1.5. You could use 1 by 1. You can use the 1/8 inch. You can use the light. This is the next size down. I can't remember what the dimension on it is. But basically, I'm going to bolt that. When I bolt this into the B-pillar or into the sidewall, I'm going to put those bolts through this little piece here. I'll cut, that's probably going to be about 10 inches. And that's just going to bolt all together right there. And that way, when I'm fitting that fiberglass here, that'll give this forward lip something to sit on. And it'll give me another surface if I want to rivet or panel bond or something. But that's basically the plan there. So using a 1-inch might be a better idea than this big stuff. Okay, so that's the B-pillar brace. And I bumped it there. It's not critical. So now I'm going to take the camera off and we're going to walk around and I'll show you a couple of the other little pieces. The big pieces are easy to figure out where they go. It's the little aluminum pieces that come in the box that you're like, how does that fit together? Where does it go? Does it go on the inside or the outside, etc.? So let's walk around real quick and cover those. Here we are behind the vehicle, walking up to look, and I'll try to hold the camera fairly steady. Okay, here is the gusset plates, and there is a left and right. Since everything is black and it's really hard to see, I've sort of outlined it in red. It's hard to, I can't really show you the bottom profile, but you'll be able to see the notch that goes around the wiring harness here at the bottom. And it has this angle to it. So that's where the B-pillar, or I'm sorry, the gusset plate goes. And there is a left and a right that you can see over there. So that's the gusset plates. Fairly easy to pick out. This tray here is part of the forward bed wall, and you have to put the forward bed wall in before you can, it doesn't have to be bolted in, but it has to be placed in place before you can put the side walls on, because they have to go on top of this tray. It sticks out. This was a later design, and this will be covered a little bit in a waterproofing video. So that's where, that's actually a piece of the forward bed wall there. So this plate is that lower door brace, right? And you can see that I bolt rivet to put that in place and then sealed the snot out of it. So that's where that piece goes. That red outline gives you a pretty good idea of what that shape looks like when you're looking at the raw piece of aluminum. And then we'll cover in the waterproofing video a couple of tips about sealing this up so that the water will drain out here. Okay, so that's the lower door brace. One last piece to cover, actually two, I'm sorry. In the box of bolts and screws, you'll find a piece of aluminum that slides into this joint here. And if we look from underneath, you can see I've riveted on there. That's that silver piece. And that's the tailgate adjustment brace. What that allows you to do is lock this back piece of the bed wall into place where you want it. So you've got to measure out and make sure your tailgate is square and everything before you put these in. But it allows you to flex this a little bit and then lock it into place where you want it by riveting it on both sides of that seam. So you can see this is all bent out of one piece, so it's a little bit flexible at this seam here and then the bend on the outside. So you're basically flexing that bend to make this straight, and you may even be able to cheat a little bit as you need to get it nice and square so your tailgate looks good and fits on each edge here. So there's 2 of those in the box with all the parts, right? Left and right. And then the last piece, which really looped me, was this guy here. And you'd figure by process of elimination I could figure out what it was looking at the inventory sheet, but I couldn't. So bad on me, whatever. Here's where this one goes. All right, so you have a upper bumper cover, and there's a fiberglass piece that will cover that too. This piece is simply to cover where you end up trimming out here. You can see you got to trim out for that bumper brace to fit. So this piece we were just talking about is going to cover that. So that is going to bolt. Oh, I'm having trouble getting video here. It's basically going to bolt and rivet in, something like that. So a couple down that side, a couple coming down from the top, a couple on that side, maybe a couple of rivets across the back here. This, I think you can reach to bolt, but the upper ones you're going to have to rivet because the bumper's in the way. Remember that there is a fuel tank right down there, so you don't want to go down with any drilling. But you can look at it and figure it out. Look on the other side before you start drilling, because let me flip the camera around. And this one has a hitch on it, so that's gonna cause me a little bit of issue for. Let's see. You can see in there now, I think. That's the surface you're gonna be drilling through and bolting to. So I think you can get 2 bolts and probably 2 rivets to secure that one on. A lot of this stuff is your option, whether you wanna bolt, rivet, what have you. You can see on the rear bumper here, I did all rivets because I wanted it nice and flush. And I often will use stainless rivets, but these are the aluminum rivets that are provided with the kit. I think that's plenty of strength. Flush rivets there. But when you do this seam, of course, all of this, and also that lower door support, I would alternate or go bolt, rivet, rivet, bolt, rivet, rivet, you know, every 4 or 6 inches. I tend to over bolt stuff. But use your own judgment. You can figure it out, I'm sure. So there you have it. Hopefully that helps you and you don't waste any time futzing around trying to figure out what something is or how it fits together or which side it goes on, etc. This isn't an all-encompassing video. This is meant to be just a supplemental to Mark Smith's video. So if you watch this and you're like, that still doesn't quite make sense, maybe go back and review, if you haven't watched it already, the Smyth Performance video. I hope I've saved you some time. I hope it gave you some ideas of how this all goes together, or maybe it just confirmed your suspicions of how it goes together. This really is a pretty easy kit to put together. I like this kit. I really like the bracing and how strong this kit is coming out. It's significantly more robust than the, kind of the tuner kits, the Audis and the VWs and the Beetles and all that. So, have a good day. Good luck with your build. Thanks for watching.